Assalamu alaikum students. I am Dr. Zahra Javeen and I will teach you cellular biology course. Today we will learn about the introduction of cellular biology, cell history, cell theory, the characterization of living things, level of organization of matter, and we will know about the cellular dimensions. Cellular biology, also called cell biology or cytology, is a branch of biology studying the structure and function of the cell. So what is cell? A cell is the basic unit of life. Cell biology is concerned with the physiological properties, metabolic processes, signaling pathway, life cycle, chemical composition, and interaction of the cell with their environment. Research in cell biology is closely related to other branches such as genetics, biochemistry. So, what is biochemistry? It explores the chemical processes within and related to living organisms. For example, chemical reaction and the combination which are involved in various processes like reproduction, heredity, metabolism, and growth. Molecular biology, immunology, and cytochemistry are also related to cellular biology. So, what is cytochemistry? Cytochemistry is a branch of cell biology dealing with the detection of cell constituents by means of biochemical analysis and visualization techniques. The study of cell is performed using several techniques. These techniques are cell culture, various type of microscope, and cell fractions. These methods are currently being used to know how cells function. Knowing the component of cells and how cells work is fundamental to all biological sciences, while also being essential for research in biomedical fields, okay, such as cancer and other diseases. The cell was discovered in 1665 by Robert Hooke after looking at a piece of cork and observing a cell-like structure. He saw a great many little boxes, who called the boxes cells, because he thought they resembled the tiny rooms. Cork come from the dry outer bark of oak tree. Hooke wrote that in the living oak and other plants these cells are filled with juice. Cells are the fundamental and structural unit of organism. This was ultimately concluded by plant scientist Sheldon and animal scientist Shewon in 1838, who view live cells in plants and animal tissues. 19 years later, Rudolph further contributed to the cell theory, adding that all cells come from the division of pre-existing cells. The cell theory biologists use nowadays date back to major contribution of two scientists, Shewon and Sheldon, in 1839, enhanced by contribution of Rodolfo in 1858. The basic elements of the classical cell theory state that the basic unit of life is cell. All living things are made up of one or more cells. All cells divide and come from all cells. These are the example of animal cells such as muscle cells, red blood cells, and cheek cells. These are some example of plant cells which include guard cells, xylem cells, and pollen cells. So what are the characteristics of living things? Living things have a complex or organized structure that consists largely of organic molecules. Living things respond to stimuli from their environment. Living things actively maintain their complex structure and their internal environment, a process called uh, homeostasis. Okay, living things require and use material and energy from the environment and convert this energy into different forms. Living things can grow, living things reproduce themselves, living things as a whole have the capacity to evolve. So let's explore these features in more detail. Compare with non-living things. Living things are highly complex and organized. For example, a crystal of table salt consists of two elements, sodium and chlorine, arranged in a precise cubical arrangement. Salt crystal is organized but simple. Take another example of ocean. The water and dissolved materials in the ocean represent its complexity, but very little organization. In contrast, the tiny water flea contains dozens of different elements linked together in thousands of specific combinations to form specific structures such as eye, leg, and digestive tract, and even small brain. So, living things have a complex but organized structure. Life on Earth consists of a hierarchy of structures, with each level of the hierarchy based on the one below it and providing the foundation for one above it, as shown in the figure. If you consider atom is the smallest particle of an element. Atom may combine in a specific way to form molecule. A structure within a cell that perform a specific function is called organism. Although the chemical arrangement and interaction of atoms and molecules are the building block of life. So, cell is the smallest unit of life. Some life forms, mostly microscopic, consist of just one cell, but some life forms are composed of many cells with specialized functions. In multicellular life forms, cells of similar type combine to form tissue. For example, nerve tissue composed of nerve cells. Various tissues type combine to form structure unit called organ. For example, brain, which contain nerve tissue. In case of plant, it consists of root, leaves, and stem organ. Organ system, several organs that collectively perform a single function are called an organ system. For example, brain, spinal cord, sense organ, and nerves form nervous system. Organism, all the organ system functioning, cooperating, make up an individual living things called the organism. A group of very similar, potentially interbreeding organisms constitute a species. Then comes toward population. Members of the same species that live in a given area are considered as a population. Population of several species living and interacting in the same area form community. A community plus its non-living environment, including land, water, atmosphere, constitute an ecosystem. Finally, the entire surface region of Earth inhabited by living things, but including the non-living component also, is called biosphere. So this is all about the levels of organization of matter. Organisms perceive and respond to stimuli in their internal and external environment. So what is stimulus? A change in the environment or anything that causes an organism to react. And what is response? A reaction to a stimulus. If you look at picture, trees shed leaves in fall season in response to temperature changes. Chameleon, a kind of lizard, change color in response to mood, temperature, health, and light. Sunflower move toward light. So it's indicate living things respond to stimuli from their environment. To stay alive and function effectively, organisms must keep the condition with their body fairly constant and a process called homeostasis. Homeostasis is a Greek word which means to stay the same. Maintaining homeostasis is accomplished by a variety of automatic mechanisms in the body. In the case of temperature regulation, these mechanisms include sweating during hot weather, and the other example is metabolizing more food in cold weather. So, living things actively maintain their complex structure and their internal environment through a process called homeostasis. DNA is the molecule of heredity, the molecule that controls all the traits or features of an organism, sometimes referred to as the blueprint for life. The DNA molecule is composed of four main parts called bases. The order of the bases on the molecule determines your trait. Living things as a whole have the capacity to evolve. What is evolution? Slow change in a species over a long period of time. The most important force in evolution is natural selection. What is natural selection? It is the process by which organisms with adaptation. Adaptation means characteristics that help them to cope up harsh environment, survive and reproduce more successfully than others. Adoptive traits arising from genetic mutation are passed on to next generation. Next feature is living things can grow. At some time in its life cycle, every organism becomes larger, that is, it grows. This character is obvious for plants, birds, and animals, all of which start out very small and undergo tremendous growth during their life. Organism acquires the atoms and molecules they need from air, water or soil or from other living things. These materials are called nutrients and are extracted from the environment and incorporated into the molecule of the organism bodies. The sum total of all the chemical reactions needed to sustain life is called metabolism. There are two types of organisms based on how they get food. One is autotrophs, means producers get energy directly from the sun and use it to make their own food in a process called photosynthesis. Other is a consumer called heterotrophs, get energy from eating plants or other organisms. They ate the plants. This figure shows cellular dimensions. Most cells are small, ranging from 1 to 100 micrometer. If you look at the picture, the cells are of many different sizes and shapes so that they can perform specific functions. The cells in a living organism may be as small as million of meter or it may be as large as meter. Some of cells which are small in size cannot be seen with naked eye. You can see in the picture. Bacteria cells are extremely small of length 1 micrometer and muscle cells are few centimeter long and nerve cells are more than a meter long. Remember students, the size of cell is related to its function. It has no relation to size of body. How big is a micron? 1 million of a meter is equal to 1 micron, or 1,000 of a millimeter is equal to 1 micron. For instance, a human red blood cell is about 5 micron across. A human hair is about 75 micron across, depending on the person. Bacteria can be between about zero point 0.1 to 3 micron. So this is all about the introduction of cell biology, its cell theory, characterization of living organism, and cell dimension. I hope student you understood the lecture. If you have any question, we will discuss it in our question answer session. Thank you.